let me tell you, honey, when you are in one of those environments, you are experiencing a mental load. You are carrying a to-do list in your mind at all times.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hey, welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show. Oh boy, we got another amazing guest. We've got so many amazing attuned people, extremely psychic, tuned in people, emerging on the planet, claiming those superpowers, as you know. And guys know I'm all about that with what I do in the world. And so today we have one of those great ones, one of the great ones, and tuning in and knowing what's going on. So I'm really looking forward to diving in with her, and she's blowing up through her latest TEDx talk and all that stuff. And she's got tremendous wisdom and energy, and she will get like walk away wisdom from this podcast. You'll be like, I got it. I got this bullet point. I got that bullet point. I can implement that. That's useful to me. Thank God I got like things I can actually use. It's not all theory. There's actually practical stuff too. And so I'm really grateful in advance for that as well. And as much as I like to just gab, it's good to have those really, really clear walk away, pieces. And I know we're going to get that. So Teresa, I'm so grateful to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so let me tell you more about her. As an elite transformation coach, author, and TEDx speaker, Teresa has become synonymous with achieving success without stress and is a beacon for female founders and executives and salespeople and all the rest of those powerhouses that are wanting to move things forward here, bridging the realms of science and spirituality for transformative results. Yeah, I got lightning bolts on my vision board. I get that vibe about Teresa. She's got that lightning bolt kind of energy. Her journey is an inspiring one, pivoting from a 2-decade-long financial services career halted by a rare and severe stress-induced illness. She immersed herself in graduate level psychology. We definitely have that in common. Further deepening her knowledge with certifications in neuroscience and relational trauma coaching. Teresa brings a comprehensive, holistic approach to personal growth for all who seek guidance to better connect with their inner self and harness that innate potential. Yes, 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 yes. Teresa's vast experience offers a roadmap and ability to create lasting change for profound results. So, Teresa, I know it's been a journey. I love this because I will say this, and I know I'm plugging myself, but I do the energy scan training. I'm here unleashing people's psychic and intuitive, and even, of course, their healing abilities and whatnot, and getting new clients. What I love about your story is you were in the closet being a psychic medium and oracle or whatever, all those type of things, and you've come out of the closet with that now. And so I'm so honored that, as part of that path, you're on this show to tell your story in part about that because, I mean, there's so many other people that have gifts that could be brought forth in this capacity to really help people in a deeper way. And you're an example of someone that's, taking the steps to allow that to happen. So, so if we could start there, I'd love to start there about being an oracle. Like, how did it start for you? I mean, I have my own story about, just kind of being good at betting on things was how only thing I noticed. So I was like, yeah, I probably was getting downloads and didn't even realize it, right? But like I was, just good at stuff like that. And then just kind of built up from there. But how about you? How did you discover these gifts that you have?
Yeah, for the longest time growing up, I thought everybody just knew things like I knew things. I can remember when I was 4 years old, my mother, she was the handy person in the house. My father liked to hire people. So my mother was trying to save money and she, remember the old landline plugs in the wall? She had taken the outlet cover off and it wasn't the standard, like, I don't even know the electrical thing, but say the standard is red, black, and white for the colors. It was like green, yellow, and blue, something that wasn't standard, that my mother wasn't familiar with. And at like 4 years old, I walked over and I said, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I'm trying to fix this. And I said, oh, well, this wire, the green wire needs to go here and the yellow wire needs to go there. And the white one goes over here, or the blue one needs to go over here. And she kind of looked at me like, really, a 4 year old? And I was like, honest, mommy, go check one of the other outlets. And she went and checked the other outlet and came back and said, you were right. And so for me, that was kind of like my first memory of, doesn't everybody know that? In third grade, we had the inductive and deductive reasoning. I remember we were studying in class, and I just knew the answers. I just knew the answer. And I remember my teacher, speaking to my parents saying, hey, you know what? There's something with your daughter over here. She's really smart. And I thought, I don't know if I'd call it smart. I just knew it. And then,
Yeah.
of course, when I was a teenager, my gifts really came into being, and I started having precognitive events and a whole bunch of stuff that happened. But at that time, my mother wasn't open to my gifts, even though she was intuitive herself. She just denied it. So I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And for me, it led me, because it was so overwhelming, having these visions and just knowing things that I shouldn't really know, about other people and them calling me out on it. I ended up numbing myself, sampling a few drugs, drinking alcohol, because I was so freaked out by it. But my intuition actually saved me in those moments, between powerful dreams and then also, just that innate guidance that I have really woke me up and said, hey, this is not the path you want to go down. And so, I stepped back away from that, recalibrated, and, just throughout my life, I knew that there were certain experiences that I was going to have. I had that awakening moment when I was a teenager, and they've all happened. And so I think my journey has been in part using my intuition a little bit. I
Mhm.
was in financial services when I was in undergraduate school. I was in finance, and we had a stock market game that we played against other colleges. And I came in 2 weeks late to this contest, and I used my intuition to choose my stocks, and I ended up winning the competition. And so that was kind of that validation of, oh, hey, this could actually help me in my career. And so I went on to be a financial advisor and, made club and, was really
Right.
beneficial for my clients. But then from there, I got into a difficult marriage, and that just shut down all of my gifts. So it really was kind of this up and down road for me of putting it out there, using it, and then getting freaked out by how powerful it was, and then withdrawing. And I finally, even though when I had my burnout, where I, burned out from my career and developed that stress related illness, that was kind of my true awakening, dark night of the soul moment of, who am I? What am I really supposed to be doing with my life? And so I started exploring. I'm a Karuna Reiki master. I am an angelic Reiki master. I've done body talk. I've done all sorts of energetic modalities. And that has given me, I think it's number one, help clear that past trauma. A lot of people, who we all have intuitive gifts, but it's generally our past trauma that is holding us back from really trusting those gifts. And so for me, a lot of the work was clearing that past trauma. And the more that I clear, the more that I'm aware of, the better and stronger my gifts become. And so that's what has brought me. For 5 years, I've been getting intuitive hits of, you need to come out of the closet. Come out of the closet. It's safe to come out of the closet. But it took until last year for me to really officially say, when all of my clients, when they started asking for intuitive readings or energy readings in our sessions, I was like, okay, I got to do this. And so now I'm officially out of the closet.
Huh. That's fantastic. I mean, yeah, people say they're doing healing or yeah, the tuning in or whatever. They'll say, yeah, I just don't tell people about it, but I'm still doing it. Ain't that good enough? And I'm like, not
No,
really, because if
not.
you're claiming it, it's a whole different thing. What's the differences you've noticed by claiming it versus because there's somebody thinking right now, yeah, well, maybe I'll do it eventually. What are the benefits of like coming out of the closet rather than just kind of doing it and people don't know?
I think the biggest thing that I notice, because I do a lot of work in the wellness field, well, part work in the wellness field, but then part also working in the corporate field, is being in alignment. Whenever you are out of alignment in your life, there is built-in stress. And whenever there's built-in stress, that is going to automatically start to block your gifts. And so me coming out of the closet is really me living authentically, fully centered, aligned with who I am, both in kind of my personal world as well as my professional world. And so for me, it has eradicated a whole bunch of invisible stress that I wasn't even aware of until I fully came out of the closet. And so I think that's the most important thing. The most important benefit for people being in full alignment is just that release of stress, that release of pressure. It's no longer something that your body has to manage, holding on that mask, this mask of, oh, I'm not an intuitive. I'm safe.
Right, right, right,
I'm not woo.
right,
But then once I fully embraced it, people see me and they'll tell me things like, I kind of had a feeling you were intuitive, or I've known you were an intuitive for a long time. I kind of wondered why you weren't coming out with it. So I
right.
think it just once again points back to that authenticity piece.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I know the more like I wasn't training energy scan training much for a good long while. I like here and there through the last few years. But then now that I've like that's where I'm going full in there. That's where I still do the intuitive business coaching, but with it. But I'm like going full in, like all of a sudden, yeah. I mean, as strong as the gifts already are, like it just gets them to another level. Like all
Yeah.
of a sudden, it's like it's not like 100 times more or something, but it's like all of a sudden it's like, man, I'm more attuned, like I was just on a networking meeting. There were two people in this room of a bunch of people. I'm like, those are the two people I need to meet with, and I claimed it right on the spot. I'm like, when they did breakouts into just groups of two, like those are the two people I met with because I was that clear, right? It's that attunement that when I'm not in that authenticity, that alignment, that's not happening on a consistent basis at all when I'm not in that connection. And so I think like that's amazing to inspire people on so many different levels. And I know you talk about this invisible stress is a huge part of what you talk about from my experience of you. And I know that a lot of it, like your TEDx talk, you talk about I don't have the I'm gonna mess up the title, but you're people obsessing about what other people think about them is the gist of it. And so you have some experience about that. Man, what a way to come out of the closet talking about that on a stage. And you're top 2% of TEDx talks, and you got lots of views and 14 grand in a month at this point at the time of this recording. But I think that's it, right? We are so conditioned, like with the psychic stuff and healing. It's like all the past life stuff to me is like the core, like is a big core of it anyway.
Mhm.
And then we got all the other stuff. And then overall, though, with whatever our gifts are, like just being powerful with whatever your gifts are, like to show up. I remember being really good at math and like we're doing around the world, like flashcards and stuff. And I'm like, it was so easy for me compared to everybody else. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose because what am I going to do? Just keep going around the class? Forget about it. So I started to actually start a habit of losing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I would lose everything. No, don't get me wrong. Like, I just started losing certain things when I could have been winning because I thought, well, it's not fair. It's so easy for me, And so, how do you see it in people? It's a worrying about like, what are the people going to think if I make this decision or I start to show up fully? And what are the permutations you see within the people you serve, the executives, the presidents, the CEOs, whatever, all those people. How do you see it showing up with them?
Yeah. Well, speaking to the C-suite, there actually was an article that came out and it stated, I think it was in Psychology Today, 85% of CEOs leverage intuition in order to make decisions.
Mm.
And it makes sense, right? Because CEOs are on the cutting edge. They're always looking for where's that new opportunity. And unfortunately, in that realm of that cutting edge, whether you're a women business owner or you're, C-suite, we don't have the data and the analytics to land on, to point to say, yes, this idea is valid. This is the direction to go because you're on the cutting edge. So you have to rely on your intuition. The challenge is if you haven't done the healing work on yourself to reduce those triggers, to bring awareness to those innate biases that we all have as human beings, it's like sending your intuitive information through a prism of fear. And so you may get information, you may get an answer, but if you think about a prism, it's got all these different facets on it. As the intuition or the intuitive information comes up, if it hits a point of fear or a trigger or a belief or a pattern that you haven't cleared, it's going to go off in a different direction. So there will be an element of truth to it. However, because it's so embedded in fear, in some sort of emotion that carries that frequency of fear, it's not going to be as clear or as accurate. And so this is what happens a lot of times with people who say, yeah, I don't trust my intuition. I listened to it in the past and it was wrong. Let me be crystal clear. Your intuition is never, ever, ever wrong. What it's coming up through is it's bumping against these patterns or these beliefs or these perspectives that we hold that are based in those fear frequencies, and it's getting skewed. And so it's really, really important, especially for women business owners and these C-suite execs, to be really as clear as possible, to be aware of the biases, to be as clear as possible with past trauma, because then when the intuition comes up, and then there's also the technical element of how do you access your intuition? Is there kind of a structure or a way that you can make it repeatable? But once you do that, then you start getting all this insight and you get these intuitive hits. Another challenge that I see my clients getting faced with is they start to try to intuit too far out in the future. And
Mm-hmm.
so there is an element of intuition, it's more prophecy based, that it analyzes the multiple possibilities that are available to you. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times when there's too many possibilities and then you bank on one of those possibilities, referring back to my financial background, you're taking higher risk without necessarily, it may be a high reward, but it's, to me, it's high risk and not as much reward. Whereas if you just take one step ahead, then the probabilities or the possibilities are more limited. So you might have one, two, or three possibilities. And then you can really dial in and you're lowering your risk while also getting that bigger bang of the payoff. So, there's a couple different ways there that I work with clients, but for the listeners right now, if you identify with one of those types, if you're one of those people who, yeah, I claim my intuition and yeah, it is great, but you're looking too far out in the future, dial it back in. Start looking for what's that next right step in this moment for me to take that will get me to where I want to go. And it may be kind of an erratic path, You may be sitting there. I know this happened for me when I was going through grad school in psychology. And I was thinking, why the heck am I studying counseling psychology? I know I don't want to be a therapist. Like I already, recognize that's not where I want to be. However, it was important for me to go through that because it helps me to understand human nature. It helped me to clear my own trauma and to be able to have some additional tools that I can use with clients now
Mm-hmm.
that they don't need to go see a therapist and a psychiatrist and an energy worker. They can just come see me and we can take care of those things lickety split so that they can start using their intuition immediately. And so, I think those are a couple different ways for that I use as well as for your listeners to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. So wow, so your whole mission really is get ultimately is to get to their access to the infinite intelligence or their intuition and be able to listen to that and take it one step at a time. And that's back in the early 2000s, I remember I used to do in tune workshops and stuff. It was like as long as you just walk in tune, you're going to be fine. And I always have said, often anyway, through the years, if because people would be like, I don't know this, I don't know. Your next step. There's always one step ahead, and you always know that one step. And you don't need to know all those other steps all the time. Sometimes it's fine to know those steps, but you only need to know the one step. Oh, okay. Like it's just if you can remember that, I think it's huge. So I love that the way you put it that way. But yeah, when your mind is in confusion and uncertainty and fear and, from past trauma and everything, it's hard to get centered and connected enough to be able to even hear what's the next. Well, next, I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting. I'm just getting fear, like fear is a signal, right? So it's beautiful, beautiful process that you would, work on that and help them then to be able to access that intuition and then know what those next steps are, rather than, because I'm sure you have, you know, the stories where these founders and the C-suite executives and whatnot, where the things go awry in the business too. If we just get back to the results on that tangible level, like how things go sideways because they're not connected and they've got all this chaos going on inside of them, right? So, can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, for example, I'm trying to think. There was one woman business owner that I was working with, and she was completely overwhelmed in her business. And generally, that's when people find me, is when they've tried everything else and they're just like, fine, I'll just, I'll reach out to this woman. She had been
Right,
referred to me.
right.
And her, I liken it to a video game where you have an avatar that you're moving through. So something like Tomb Raider or Minecraft, something along those lines. If you think of one of those games,
Mm-hmm.
and you're walking this avatar through a process, through a journey, and then all of a sudden there's a rock wall or a brick wall. And you're trying to get this player through this brick wall and you're bumping up against it, not making any progress. That's where this client came to. She was in a place, she kind of knew where she wanted to go. She was actually very clear about her objectives. However, she wasn't able to see what was blocking her in this moment. And a lot of clients come to coaching to have their blind spots revealed to them, which is a very powerful aspect of coaching. But the work that I do with my intuitive gifts, I'm able to get to that root cause of what the block is very quickly, clear it very quickly without having to do talk therapy or, these other modalities. Let's just get in there, energetically remove it, bring awareness to it. And then your practice, your homework is just always to be aware of that one point that we're trying to get through. But, when you are in that overwhelm, it's like a wheel that just keeps spinning. You're not taking any forward action and you're basically paralyzed by that fear. It could also be, looking back of, oh my gosh, I had that failure back there. I don't want to repeat that failure again. I made that offer and it didn't launch. I didn't make any money. I actually lost money on it.
Right.
So you have that embedded fear in it so that you're afraid to take that step forward. So really the work that I do is helping bring awareness to those brick walls, as well as lowering them, helping the clients to lower them, but being able to move forward and take that step. And sometimes it might be a step back. And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that because they've made so much forward progress down a certain path. They're afraid to actually go backwards a few steps to be able to get clarity and to move around a particular obstacle.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the businesses that long term thrive eventually have to pivot. They have to pivot somewhere, right? And so those that do that, yeah, there may be like the business has been down lately. Wow, will they even survive? It might even get that bad. But then once they double down on what's really the most aligned path for their business, then things take off. And, if you don't have your own inner alignment going on, the chances of that happening tend to be pretty small, right? So, so I mean, to be able to get that alignment and then, so I can see that you help people to, yeah, be able to get the signal, get the alignment in, right? And to get the root causes, those things out of the way. So if somebody's working with you, obviously with the story you told us in the beginning, you're probably could just like, there it is, this is it, like, really fast, and then, um, use all these different, are you intuitive in how you approach it? Like, yeah, I got these coaching tools, I got healing tools, I got these tools, I got the other tool. Do you just kind of use your whole toolkit and you pick what kind of comes to you? I'm just even personally curious how you go about doing it to dissolve that, quickly.
Yeah, for me, I have such an arsenal of tools that I
Hmm.
have access to. And, if somebody is interested, like what particularly are you doing in this moment, to make this shift, or what did you just
Hmm.
do? I might mention the tool that I was using. However, for me, it's so integrated to who I am. It's
Hmm.
just part of me. So it's, maybe it came from a Reiki, or maybe it came from an intuitive, or, who knows how it came to me. It doesn't matter. The most important thing that matters is that it works. And
Right.
so, it's for me, this wasn't a client, but this is an acquaintance of mine that I'm in a mastermind with. And she was looking to create, how would she identify herself? Kind of like what is her archetype?
Hmm.
And for me, it was so clear. I saw her as like a sommelier. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. For wellness. And when I blurted out, I was like, you know what? I wonder what would happen if you thought of yourself as a wellness sommelier and you started presenting the information in that way on your social media, in your business, when you gave talks, because she was really bumping up against this image that she didn't want to be identified with her business as a whole. She didn't want to be the person who was going forward and having it be all about her. She wanted it to be shining about her business. And when I presented it that way, it became a perspective that she could hold of, oh, in that avatar type, I can be of service. And man, it's really opened it up. In fact, I was on a phone call with her just before our time together. And she probably thanked me about 5 times, oh my gosh, thank you for that, because it's opened up the possibilities for me. So it's
Hmm.
little things like that in my work that make the work that I do so incredibly powerful. Because once you break down that wall, we don't even
Hmm.
have to know necessarily what the wall is. We just make it go away, or
Right.
or shift a direction, so that all of a sudden you've got clarity and you've got purpose. And
Hmm.
for my C-suite clients, it really is about, you know, they have so much knowledge, they have so much experience. I don't have knowledge and experience in their capacities, but they do. So it's about me just going in and making that subtle shift to
Hmm.
be able to clear what's ever blocking them, so they have access, so that they can take those steps forward. And so back to your original question,
Hmm.
to me, it doesn't matter where it comes from. Now that I am fully integrated and I don't have to hide, where I got the information, I can just blurt it out with confidence.
Right.
It makes everything that I do so much more powerful, and so much more powerful for my clients.
Right. Right. So it's an intuitive approach, is what I'm hearing. It's what I heard even before you said that, but it's I wanted to hear your answer though. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's so cool. Because I know like when I'm working with people, a lot of times I'm like I can already feel it shifting just through us talking and me like kind of working with their field as we're talking, right? Like I just, okay, I can feel it's flipping now, and sometimes it isn't, so it's a little more stubborn and now, okay, I got something else I could use for that then, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So when you say you're a modern day oracle, you know, but you're here to also help other people to develop that within themselves, is what I'm hearing, right? So it's not like I just have the answers, come to me. You'll do some of that for sure, but like, you're there so ultimately they as well can become those oracle like type of people. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I think there's a portion of my clients that are really interested in like my sales professionals, my struggling sales professionals, being able to help them access their intuition so that they can be better at closing business and
Mhm.
increasing their numbers.
Yeah.
That's great. They love that training, because I can give them, they don't have to be complete intuitives. They just have to be able to access intuition for their particular role.
Right.
That is definitely something I help, even with women business owners,
Mm.
even with my C-suite executives. That's something. However, there are also those women business owners and C-suite executives, or even sales professionals, not so much actually, now that I think about it, not so much about the sales professionals, but the C-suite and the women business owners for sure, who they don't want to, they already have intuition, but for some reason, their information is being blocked. And a
Mhm.
lot of people will have that challenge, different intuitive or mediums or psychics or what have you. They may be great telling information about other people, but they may not be as great for themselves or for their family members.
Mhm.
But with my C-suite and my women business owners, some of them just want that VIP experience. They
Mhm.
want to be able to call me in from time to time and give them my unique perspective, my intuitive, neutral perspective on a
Mhm.
situation or on an offer or on an M&A, merger and acquisition type item, so that I can give them additional information. And so that's kind of a separate set of services that I don't advertise. It's something that's strictly referral only, or like, if people hear it on here and they say, yeah, you know what? I want that VIP experience where you come in, we get on a call, whether it's just a 15, 30 or an hour long call. And, I let you know the situation. And as
Yeah.
they walk through, I'm able to give them intuitive insight on where to tweak or what to do or what the possibilities are. I talked about in the beginning, the further out you are, the more possibilities there are. And
Mhm.
sometimes, a C-suite or a woman business owner will have to be able to determine which of those possibilities is actually, going to be that high reward. And so I'm able to come in and through the work that I do, my abilities really highlight, okay, if you've got 15 possibilities out here, only 3 of them are truly viable. And let's explore, I'll walk down the path, kind of like I often think of myself as Doctor Strange from the movies, where he's able to see all the possibilities and then he sees there's only one that's really going to
Right.
work.
Right.
So I'm coming in as that expert to say, here are the viable options. Here's what happens if you go down this path. Here's
Mhm.
what happens if you go down this path. And then you're at choice to be able to choose which path you want to follow.
Mhm.
That's not something that, I can necessarily train someone else to do in
Mhm.
a quick enough amount of time for them to be able to take those steps and those actions. So that's
Mhm.
kind of a different product suite that I offer.
Right. Right. Yeah. So the answer is yes. But yeah, you gave more elaboration and how you do just do that one piece for people if that's how they need to be served at that point in time, that moment or for a period of time. So yeah, I get that. Now what I wanted to get back to was just um, you talk about invisible stress a lot. How is someone going to be like, yeah, I don't know, I've got some challenges, don't we all? I think I don't know about all this stuff, but like, because a lot of times people are feeling heaviness around things they have no clue like that are affecting them, right? So I think one of the services you're providing is you're able to identify, um, what's going on. Like I want to say, like myself, you're able to go in there and see, like on a internal level, and what's in their, in their life and everything, and their business or whatever, and see like what's creating the jam up. Yeah, always the root cause, but also like some of the just things that could be adjusted and kind of feng shui you, right? Yeah, it would change the outside, the inside, and I'll change myself. So that's what I'm getting is so how did you come up? Did you come up with this term invisible stress, by the way? Like, 'cause I really haven't used, I haven't heard that. I don't even know if I've heard that term before until you said it.
I don't know that I came up with it. It was probably something that was out in the
Yeah,
ethos, but
yeah,
I definitely, when I was going through working with clients in stress, in burnout and the wellness piece of stress for many years prior to the work that coming out of the closet and fully embodying all of my work, it was something that I definitely identified because so many of my clients, especially these, women business owners that are making 7 figures or these executives or professionals, they have a lot of disposable income, so they're able to do yoga, maybe they have a meditation practice, maybe they're doing self-care retreats, and so they think that they're managing their stress. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I go and I work out, so I don't have any stress, because
Mm-hmm.
there's also that element of, for a certain number of people, money is a stress and the availability of money. The clients I work for, money isn't an option. That's not a stressor in their lives. And so they can have this false belief that, oh, I don't have any stress in my life, or I'm managing my stress, like I've got it under control. And yet, when I start asking them or I'm talking with them and they're talking about how exhausted they are, even though they got a good night of sleep, how their eating habits haven't, they notice that they're making poorer choices, or they're suffering brain fog, and they just can't quite put their finger on it. I'm able to come in and go, okay, let's talk about the
Mm-hmm.
mental load you're carrying. What are you doing? Are you a mom and an executive? Tell me about that. And they'll walk through, yeah, it might be kind of challenge with the work life balance. Okay. And I say, okay, who's if you've got kids, who's managing all the dental appointments? Who's managing all the doctor appointments? Who's managing the food preferences, the food preparation? What is going on with aging parents? And then we start identifying all these different aspects, this mental load that, especially as women, society and culture kind of expects us to be able to run the house as well as have a successful career. Or even if we choose to be stay-at-home moms, then we're expected to be on duty 24/7. Well, let me tell you, honey, when you are in one of those environments, you are experiencing a mental load. You are carrying a to-do list in your mind at all times. And
Mm-hmm.
unless you have an organization, a structure, a delegation, a team of support, the bigger the team of support that you have around you, the less you're going to have to take care of that invisible load. However, the majority of my clients are either perfectionists or people pleasers. And so for them, losing the grip on all of those items, delegating them to other people can be a challenge in of themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so because they're so capable, because they're executives, because they're successful women business owners, they think that they can handle it all. And what they don't realize is they've got all this stuff going on in the background that is taking up energy and space in their brain, that is preventing them from using that time and that energy for something like accessing their intuition or creativity, or even just like having fun in their lives. So, I think that's really where the invisible stress, I'm certainly one of the mouthpieces out there, raising awareness
Mm-hmm.
about invisible stress, because it's invisible. A lot of people don't recognize it, but that mental load is real. Decision fatigue is real. Point
Mm-hmm.
out a woman, a wife, a mother who doesn't hear nails on a chalkboard when their spouse or their child comes home and says, "What's for dinner?" Oh my gosh, every time I hear that question, I want my head to explode. I'm like, oh, that is one more thing for me to think about. That is one more decision I have to make, that's my family unit is putting me solely in charge. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had to flip that and say to my husband and my kids, how about you make some suggestions? What do
Right.
you want me to do for the next 7 days? Tell me what you want. That's a decision then that I don't have to make. But we have all these different micro decisions and micro thoughts that we're kind of holding on our head
Yeah.
that, is really slowing our brains down and causing that fatigue and brain fog.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Right, right. Yeah, I mean, as a business owner and dad and family members that need my support, my mom, I have to go, take care of things with her every weekend, and those would be all the texts I get from my sister, with the things that she has, being someone that's on disability and mental health, physical stuff, navigating the system, all those stressors, the family stuff, which is great. Things are great. Typically, things aren't like there's not a lot to get to disaster. It's just day to day. I mean, so many different things, getting texts from a spouse all day, like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And what about this other thing? Yeah, it adds up. It adds up, whether you're a man or a woman, I
Yeah,
mean, like,
absolutely.
I'm all for, like, I work mostly with women, but like over the years, like I have a whole podcast for men. I'm like, we've got massive invisible stress as well, like in our own way. It's just may look a little different, for sure, but we carry a lot as well. And so what I find is that like I remember being on a meeting. It was like in itself, I was on a team meeting for a business that I support in. We're on a team meeting. We're like almost 2.5 hours in, and it's the end of the day. It's like 7:30 my time almost. It's getting close to 7:30. And the person, the business owner is putting something together, and she's like, okay, and this would be the theme, and I'm operating on 3 hours of sleep that particular night. And had a full day already. Okay, we use this theme, and then I'm the guy that often could come up with something fast or creative right away. Says, so that's the thing. Now, what are we going to run off of that? I said, I literally have no bandwidth to think of one thing right now. I literally was at complete max. I mean, there's nothing I can access right now. I'm like, so I mean, it is. And I'm sure like a lot of people tuning in are like, yep, I've been there before, right? You get to like total max overload at some point. And thank God that was an aberrant day. It doesn't usually ever happen to that degree, where I'm like
Mhm.
at absolute zero. But there's many times like at the end of the day, I'm like, I ain't got to know. You want me to tune in to some more stuff, people? Forget about it. I'm done for the day. I need to go in the cave now. See y'all later. Like,
Yes.
and I mean, I am a people pleaser too, like everybody else. Got a little bit of that, right? But I have gotten pretty good, I think, at being like, no, here's the boundaries. Like, could you support me instead? Like, because a lot of times I'm actually pretty bad at times. In some ways, I'm kind of bad at asking for support. I'm like, well, though they seem to be a little heavy, so I'll leave them alone. I don't need any help. That's what guys do. The guys do that just as much as women, or maybe more, right? Like, no, we got it. We're strong. We don't need any help. We'll just take care of it. And so it's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, the bottom line is, don't be so damn stubborn. Start receiving, whoever, man or woman, right? Start receiving. Get the rest you need. Get the sleep you need. Do the Yeah, and then get the support you need to deal with the deeper stuff too. That's creating a lot of this man that stacks up the pile of all this stuff you got to deal with, because that's part of what's creating it, right? So yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, this opened up a space that's therapeutic for me just to share. Like, I mean, really, I mean, that's a great space that you provide, because I can see, like, you just listening to me, like, this is what Teresa does. Like, you were able to listen, and you're working with me and be like, all right, and this is what I'm getting to the core of that, and all that kind of stuff. And it's so valuable to be able to have someone that can really hear you. Like, a lot of people don't hear you, like throughout your days, right? And then if someone can really hear you, like, you can just hold that space, and like then all of a sudden it's like they feel more free, like, wow, actually you're hearing me. And then you have these answers, right? So that's really phenomenal, a gift that you have to be able to hold a space like that for people, Teresa.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that, as you were talking, I was thinking about my struggling sales professionals. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest things in
Mm-hmm.
sales that so many, even seasoned professionals, may not recognize they do, or they may not do it very well. And this
Mm-hmm.
is the intuitive aspect: is it's not about what a client says or a customer says. It's about what they're not saying. It's about what's between the lines of what they're saying. It's about what they're afraid to bring forward and express, that they
Mm-hmm.
need help on, that they have a need for. And
Right.
so being able to access your innate gifts, your intuition, and there's lots of different innate gifts we can access,
Mm-hmm.
helps you to be able to make that client or that customer, or even a situation, if you're a women business owner or a C-suite executive, if you've got a project, to be able to make it seen, heard, and understood. Because even if you're talking about a project or an offer or direction, it has its own energy. It has its own, it's kind of like a relationship. There's me, you, and then there's the relationship. And that's the energy that is between us. I used to do this when I did couples counseling and therapy. It's always that three element. And the same thing happens for, like I said, with the situation. There's the project or the goal, there's yourself, and then there's the energy that surrounds it. And so we want to be able to tap into that energy to give us the information we need to be able to move forward with clarity, confidence, and grace. And when you can do that, that automatically releases that stress response in your brain. So then you have full access to higher levels of executive functioning. You have higher levels to access everything that your brain offers to be able to give you the data, the input, that solid, tangible information to bring forward so that you have even more confidence moving forward with whatever choice you make. But if you're in that stress state, you're blocking your prefrontal cortex. You're blocking that access to that higher level of executive functioning. And so it's so key. Stress plays such a huge key in the relationship between accessing our intuitive gifts and strengths and being able to navigate our life. Even if our goal is just to reduce the stress, being aware of the invisible stress, that mental load, that decision fatigue, being aware of it helps you to manage it so that you feel empowered. Because when you feel empowered, you have confidence to move forward. But if you're sitting back going, why me? You're in this victim mindset. I don't know. I don't know which direction to go. I don't know why this is happening to me. Then you're disempowered. You're losing that agency and you don't have the discernment that you need in order to step forward and take action. So all of this just really goes together. And I think that's what has been so fascinating about me coming out of the closet is that even for me, because I don't have that friction of, am I a coach? I'm a coach here and I'm a, intuitive over here. I no longer have that friction, which created stress. And so being fully in alignment, it just has made my strengths, my powers, my abilities even stronger so that so that I can be more present and be more accurate with my clients. But more importantly, it's helped me to identify in my clients where changes can happen. So I think that's what's so incredible about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's we are. Sorry, we deepen our alignment. We can create even more powerful alignment for others. I imagine, right? For sure,
Yeah,
no doubt
absolutely.
about it. So, now the first thing is that people really need to get a clue about what is, holding them back, right? I mean, and I know that I do appreciate, because it's funny, like I talk to so many women, there's so many women that are helping women, right? And that's so needed. And so you have the ability to specifically hone into what is sabotaging women from really being connected to their power, and you have a quiz around it. I'd love for you to share around that if you'd like to share about that now.
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. My
Mhm.
quiz, I probably had over 1,000 people now. I just introduced it a couple months ago. I've already had 1,000 people go through the quiz. And the feedback I get over and over and over is not only do I feel seen, heard, and
Mhm.
understood, but
Mhm.
it also points them to areas where they can start focusing, bring awareness immediately as to what is potentially getting in their way, creating that stress, creating those blocks. And so, as you move through the quiz, not only will you get information about your type, like how you like to receive information, how you like to give information, but also your communication style, and then also some of your top saboteurs that are getting in the way of what you are looking to do in your life. Because those saboteurs, that's a psychology term. If your listeners might not be familiar with it, chances are they are, because we talk, the public talks about it a lot in the mental health field. But those are aspects of ourselves that have just gotten kind of hyperactive. They've at one point in time they came in to keep us safe, to protect us from something going on in our lives, and then they just got too much negative energy, and so they become just overblown in protecting us. And unfortunately, that gets in the way of how we show up in the world. And, relationships are all about how we show up, whether it's a work relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, it doesn't matter. And so being able to identify when you're in that saboteur state or when that saboteur is active, that voice that you hear in your head that tells you you should do something, you shouldn't have done something, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or you really should have done that. Those are voices of saboteurs. That is embedded in judgment. So whenever you witness yourself saying things like, I should do that, I have to do that, I should have done that, you should have done that, you need to do that, those are all clues right there that your judge saboteur is active. And when that happens, it's putting you in a stress state. It's automatically activating your stress response system. So once again, that's shutting down that higher level of executive functioning, that access to it, that wiser part of our brain, and it's creating stress in your body. And so you're not able to access your intuitive gifts as clearly when that happens. So that's one little tip your listeners can start using right away, is recognizing that judge saboteur, because we all have it. We all have that embedded in ourselves, and bringing awareness to it is the only thing that will keep it kind of, calm down, and, let those saboteurs know, kind of like, I'm the alpha in here. I got this covered, saboteurs. You don't, thank you for your input. I got it from here. I can take it from here. But awareness is the key.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing is the saboteurs, in my perspective, my opinion is they're all asking us just to be in our power. I mean, come on, like we're gonna start. Okay, you don't want to be in your power now. We get to play around with you. Yeah, that's how it is. All right, we're gonna come in then. But if you're in your power, they're like, oh, no need for us. All right, we can take a rest and maybe get creative for you. Do something else, make things work for you instead. If it was a team, right? I mean, so I think it's really fascinating. It works that way, and so yeah. So we have the quiz. It's the Her Power type quiz. So you can take advantage of that. That's free quiz to take. The link is in the show notes. Okay. And then you also can check out her TEDx talk, How to Stop Obsessing Over What Other People Are Thinking, which is phenomenal. It's getting a lot of traction. It will absolutely, if you didn't feel like you got your chunks in this talk, which if you're still listening, you're thinking you're liking this, you want to go ahead and take a look at their talk where she gives you three keys or three steps or three pieces that are going to help you to stop obsessing on how other people are, what other people are thinking, and start clearing that level of invisible stress. So Teresa, and I imagine if they want to get more connected with you, they'll find the way to do that. Once they go to the website, get your gifts, they'll just reach out to you, I imagine, right?
Well, yeah, there's there, or I'm on Instagram, Becoming Aware Coaching. And,
Hmm.
I welcome you to, shoot me a DM if you have any questions, or, if something really struck you about this conversation and you want to know more information, or you think to yourself, hey, wait a minute, I don't know necessarily if I agree with that. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. Let's create a dialogue. So I'm on, like I said, on Instagram, Becoming Aware Coaching. LinkedIn. I don't generally connect with people there, but you can send me messages there. But Instagram is really the best place. So if you want to follow me anywhere, follow me there.
Okay, cool. That rhymed. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're at the opportunity talk about tune in. We're going to have our energy scan segment today with our guests, where I tune into my guests. Whatever wants to come through, 2 or 3 downloads, and have fun. Now, Teresa's actually gotten more downloads than that from me. That's, we did a little. She received a little bit of that from me in the past. But you ready for a couple more downloads today?
Absolutely. This is what I love about speaking with you, or any other intuitive. It's like,
Right,
okay, let's see what's going on. Let's play for a while.
right. Let's take a look, right? Okay. All right. So if everybody will just be present, and because there'll be cool things maybe about Teresa you want to know, but also something I say up to her might resonate for you and help to move you forward as well. So let's see what comes through today. So one of the things, one of the hallmarks of your energy uh, is well, because of the energy that was coming at you, growing up, like you definitely have like the protective mechanisms up. Like when the minute I tune in today, I notice it probably maybe even more than the first time I tune into you. But like it's like, yeah, don't see this or don't come after me, don't get that, don't get this one, don't get this. So like I just noticed that, and like, and again, some of my dearest friends have been on the show. I've noticed that on a couple of them before too. And they'll even tell me, like in their cases, they're like, I'm literally trying to block you right now just for fun. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
You
I
can
think
see
it's
a little
extra up
bit, but
because we're on the
not
show
everything.
today. So but then I pick up on it, and I just bring a voice to that. I don't care. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to address. Okay, so that's just interesting to see because it is because it's like we could be embarrassed, like any of us are afraid to be seen, but I did do a scan. Okay, I'm going on I don't usually do it. I'm going to go on a quick tangent. I don't actually usually do this during this segment. Do it plenty of other times, but I was tuning into somebody on a summit the other day, and I says, "Yeah, it's like you tap into the dark energy and all that." After that, she would not comment on my scan. She's just like moving right along, like try to explain it wasn't a bad thing, but she was so worried about what her audience was going to think about that she just would not, give too much. She did say some things like, "Oh, that was accurate," but like she was just moving right along, and so like I think like that's something all of us to just move through. Like I look at that as me now. Like I'm like, okay, where am I afraid to be seen more fully? Like just so that I get that coming up in the field for people. Guys, be willing to be seen. It's precious who you are, okay? Like it's going to be good as long as you're willing to be present with what you know to be true. Like trust your own intuition ultimately. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's just tune in some more from there. Yeah, I think this is something I was talking about before with you. So you've got the deep download energy coming through the crown into your power center. Now that's a lot of people have the openness up at the top of the field, but often it doesn't travel down very deep into them. For you, you've got that opening where the energy could progress more, and it is now, right? So to a degree, but within that download, the energy could be coming out more powerfully uh, through your overall energy field and through your voice. That's what I'm getting. Is there's some like, all right, we're letting it in deeply, and we're starting to share, and it's like, all right, yeah, but you got that next octave level to share from that place, and so I feel like that's the next step that's wanting to happen. Like it's really like it feels really present, really close, really available for you to step into. So, okay, I said two or three. All right, we'll do one more real quick. There is also maybe a concern about delving into some of this stuff still a little bit because I get like listen, I mean, this is just natural. It just comes through. I'm just, it's just happening or whatever. Like, there could be some part of you that's is still concerned about, we talk about the things we need to hear, right? So there's maybe still some concern about that because I see it comes through. It's like, listen, I'm innocent, like I'm just trying to help people. Like, don't judge me for who I am. Like, there's again, consciously, you're probably like, no, I'm pretty good. But like, there's something there still. And it's like, well, maybe it's too strong, people are gonna think that I get like something about like being taken away or something like that or locked up or I don't know, like fears around that. And that's a very common one, right? You see it in people too. Like we're concerned, we bring our gifts full out, like, all right, we've been burned at the stake, we've been hung or whatever, all the different things. Oh, we don't want that one to happen again. So there is a caution there, and it would seem wise based on that. But I always tell people to remind all of us, like, listen, those boogeymen don't exist anymore as long as you don't buy into it, right? I mean, if you're gonna buy back into it, I suppose. But otherwise, no, that was another era, another time. We're past that now. Let's go. So anyway, those are a couple of the downloads coming through. Any quick reflections or comments you'd like to share about what came through?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for that. I
Okay.
think that, this just really points to, I'm an expert in my field. I know I'm really good at what I do. I've
Right.
had, not only do I know it, I've had validations from, several happy clients. My business is primarily referral based, so obviously I'm very aware of it. That
Yes.
being said, even as an expert, there's still more work that I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Nobody is perfect. And so, for any of the listeners in particular who are accessing or looking to access your innate gifts and strengths, recognize there is no end point. There is no perfection. There's always something that we can be working on. And even if it's, we've cleared all the things from this lifetime, we have past lifetime things,
Mm-hmm.
thousands of past lifetimes. So it doesn't surprise me at all that there's still some elements that are floating around
Mm-hmm.
because, well, number one, it doesn't surprise me. And number two, it's just that additional awareness of, okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that with me because now I know, the flashlight is that beam is on that particular thing. I
Right.
have the tools to be
Right.
able to go in and clear that. So
Right.
I'm so deeply in gratitude for
Mm-hmm.
you being able to bring that to my awareness so that I can shine the light on it and clear it so that it's one more thing that is ready. And I'm sure the next time I talk to you in the future, you might bring something else up to my
Right.
awareness. And, I think this is really what the power of creating connection and having this level of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
with other people. You and I don't know each other super well. We kind of know one another, just
Right.
on a couple phone calls that we've
Right.
had,
Right.
but I can drop into this intimate space with you. And so, what a wonderful world it would be if we were all surrounded by people like us,
Mm-hmm.
bringing our awareness to things without judgment, without, any shame or guilt, but be able to bring that awareness and be able to lift other people up. That's certainly the world that I'm on a mission to create.
Mm-hmm.
And, being able to create this kind of environment where we are giving and receiving, continuing that flow
Mm-hmm.
is what it's all about. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just in deep gratitude that you
Mm-hmm.
you notice those things in my energy, and now I
Mm-hmm.
have the opportunity to go in and heal them. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you've got that go-getter mentality. You're like, well, I'm not going to keep talking about the so-called problem. We're not saying it's a problem, but in that regard, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I would say I'm taking care of that. Don't worry, I got it. Like, I, that can be a huge strength. I mean, everything can be a strength and a weakness sometimes, but that's a huge strength. You're just like that. Okay, that's it. Good, a high level of commitment, right? And so, guys, like, look at this demonstration of commitment. Like, that she's just like, okay, yes, and then I'll take care of, like, I think like having that level of commitment at least is hugely powerful. That's all part of the reasons why Teresa like gets so many great results because she's so committed. She's so committed to her own evolution. She's committed to her clients' evolution, everything. I always say like, forget this idea of like, well, I'm going to kind of passively go through my life or I'm going to just keep trying to survive or whatever and keep it fight another day or whatever. Like, do something to change it. Guys, change your pattern, do something like, drop into an intimate space with Teresa or me if that's who you wanted to connect with. But whoever you want, like do it. Like just do something different finally, I mean, so with that in mind, I'll share with people can also connect with me. I mean, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com if you like and go there and take advantage. There's a free meditate and make money meditation. You can open your energy up, your chakras a little bit. And the big thing for me is like you get a download of like, I'm abundant, I am connected. Like that's what's coming through. And then you get answers as you ask your guidance and whatnot. Like what's the answers? And got people that are building their business, utilizing that meditation and swear by it. Like I had one client that put it right into their business coach too. I'm putting it right in here, right into my portal, because it's so helpful to that person. So check that out, take advantage of that free gift. And then I always talk about my Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. So you can take advantage of that, where I tune into people's overall energy and their chakras and your business and everything. And we take a look at what's going on for you, the coach, the healer, particularly people that want to help other people and help the evolution, awakening of consciousness right now. I tune in to help you on an energetic level and a strategic level for your business, for your marketing, for your sales, for your positioning, whatever it is that you need, whatever those things are to boost your confidence, all those things. So take advantage of that if you like. And if you go ahead and subscribe to at yoursacredpurpose.com, you'll be notified about my energy scan training that I always talk about, when the next one is and everything. And perhaps you'll be on a call with me one day. I'll be doing with you, probably even with more time, a little bit more time than I did with Teresa. You'll be getting downloads from me. I'll be seeing you. So I'll be seeing you soon is the way I like to look at it, right? It's fun. Okay, anyway, so Teresa, before we end, I think we both shared a bunch. We're getting all riled up. But do you have any closing words for everybody before we end?
I think the big thing, if you don't take anything else away, just awareness. Awareness is the key to that will unlock so many doors for you. Bringing awareness to little things that you pick up from time to time. Just focus on that one small thing. There's that very common phrase, how do you eat an elephant? One small bite at a time. And I think that if you are looking to heal yourself or access your innate gifts and strengths, taking one small step forward, taking one small bite, by bringing awareness to it and then focusing on it, your life will change.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's so true. So beautiful. Thank you for your wisdom and your empowerment, everything you brought to the show, Teresa. And, just, thank God, we have Teresa, Lodato in the world who can bring, I want to say I'm channeling this right now, but it's like Christ consciousness to the world in your own way. I know you may not use that term, but that's how I see it. And you're able to bring that forth and powerfully, be able to see what's going on and to be able to transform people's lives. So thanks again for being a guest on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank. All right. And to the rest of you, keep on tuning in and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.